So there are many questions we have when it comes to how much life insurance should we need. And I think it's a difficult thing to come up with. Your book talks about a couple of different methods, but the best website I like happens to be from the Life Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization, although it does seem like they really do love insurance, so I'm not sure completely who's behind it. Anyway, the information is great though, and we can use one of the tools. One of the best tools on this website is calculating how much life insurance you need. So let's look at a situation. So I go to Life Insurance Needs Calculator. You can see that they even have now an app for your iPad or your iPhone. So what we're going to do, the first thing we need to do is identify our lump sum needs. So typically what we include in lump sum needs are our final expenses. We usually consider those as unfortunately our burial expenses. Okay, nobody wants to call life insurance what it really is. It's death insurance, but the marketing people got together and decided, hey, no one's going to buy death insurance. They're only going to buy life insurance, so we do life insurance instead, when it's actually death insurance. So let's just say that the average final funeral and everything's going to cost about $15,000. Let's say, let's talk about debt now. All right, it's cheap to pay off debt with life insurance. And so a lot of times included in your immediate lump sum needs are the debts you own. We break those up into two different types of debt. Outstanding debts, which are other than your mortgage. This would be your credit card, student loans, etc. And then we have our outstanding mortgage. So let's say that we have a little bit of credit card debt and a little bit of it could also be your auto loan as well. So let's say we have 50,000, and remember not to put commas here. It doesn't like commas for some reason. Outstanding mortgage, let's say we have 200,000. So we have 200,000. Now this is what's really neat about this is it also looks at your family. See, this is the best approach because it looks at all of your immediate needs at the beginning of life, or at the beginning when you die. And then it also looks at the future needs. Okay, so child one's age right now. Let's say that you have a child that's 2 years old, and let's say you have a child that's 4 years old, and they're both going to go to, let's say, public universities. Why is the difference there? Because private typically costs quite a bit more than public. You go down the street. I'm not going to name any universities, but you go down the street, you'll find out how much more. So let's keep things easy. Let's stay with tens. So let's do 100,000. And let's say how many years should income be provided? Okay, so basically what you're saying here is how many years you need to pay for your spouse, right? This is assuming that you have a spouse. So what we'll do here is we'll assume that currently we're age 30, so we'll say for the next 60 years. It'll say what is our current savings and investments. Okay, let's say we have a small bond portfolio and maybe some cash. So let's say we have $20,000. What is your current retirement savings? At the age of 30, you haven't been out of work too long. I'd say you might have, I don't know, let's say a very, very good market and we contributed heavily. Let's say you have $85,000. Now this is important because we're trying to find out the total amount of life insurance that you need as an individual. So what we want to do is make sure we count how much life insurance is in force. Let's say that right now this is our first time to buy life insurance. Okay, and let's say that we have no other policies. All right, so this is estimating your family's income needs in case of your death. Now we're going to switch gears and assume that assuming your spouse would work for the following death. Now, there's a couple of things to remember here. If your spouse hasn't worked before, other than probably the hardest job ever, and that's raising children and staying at home. But if they haven't worked before and you're the breadwinner, or you're the wife and your husband stays at home, all right, and so it could be either or on the spouse, you know, the chances that they're going to actually go back and start working immediately are very slim. Some of them may not have the training to go in and get a certain job. They might have to go back to school, etc. So you want to be very conservative with the numbers you do here. You guys are smart enough to figure this out for your own certain situations. But in this situation, I'm going to say that the spouse is working. I'm going to say that that spouse makes $30,000 a year. And let's just say that she's going to work, so we're 30 years old. Let's say she's going to work until she's 55. So we'll say that she works, okay, till she's another 25 years. And her spouse's marginal tax rate, that's to calculate estimated taxes, all right? And so we'll just leave it at 25%. Now remember, the higher you go, that's a more conservative approach. The lower you go on your taxes, that's a more aggressive approach. Estimated rate of inflation, I kind of like to be careful here because inflation can really eat you up pretty good, so I like to increase that a little bit more. 6% after-tax net investment, that may be a little high because we want to be conservative here. We want to make sure we have enough insurance, right? So, and if you look down here, this tells you this is a little bit of a guide that tells you everything about what you're entering. So now I'm going to go to analysis. So this is a great summary. So what it tells me is that my lump sum needs at death, the final expenses are my $15,000 plus my outstanding debts plus the mortgage and then college funding. Okay, total lump sum needs is $502,579. So that's what I would need immediately. So I know at least immediately I need what? $500,000 of life insurance. All right, income needs, the annual income to be provided. You need to be $100,000. We said that they need $100,000. She needs $100,000 to live on, or he, until for the next 60 years. All right. The estimated inflation 3.5%, 5%. So what we can do is we basically say we calculate this future for 60 years. There's going to need to be $100,000. So that's $600,000 plus the $502,000. All right. But remember, when somebody dies, that money is going to go in and it's going to be invested. So if you remember back to our time value of money, we find the present value of the income needs, which is, so we take 60 times 100,000, all right, and we discount that back, so that's 60 times 100,000, and we discount that back, and we get the present value of income needs is $4,047,695. I may have said 60,000 or 600,000 earlier, but that was obviously off. So we take that number plus our lump sum need, and we get the amount we need. Then we subtract our current investment capital. Okay, so these were the retirement plans and the savings that we had, and then less the present value of the spouse's income. Now remember, she's not going to work for a whole lot of time. You can see that little bit of time she does work definitely helps us out. So the total life need here is $3,969,000. That is a lot of life insurance. In fact, it may be a little too much. So let's go back to our calculation here. Let's see what we can do to bring that number down. Let's see what things might stick out to us. Well, if we're going to pay off all the debts, do they really, if he's making $100,000 now, or their expenses are $100,000, are they really going to need $100,000? Because remember, it's $100,000 plus we're paying for child 1 and child 2. So let's say that we've saved 20% of the mortgage payment. Let's say that we can get through with $60,000 a year. Okay, so, and we'll keep everything else the same. We will say that remember, she's working for 25 years, making $30,000 a year, and let's look at the analysis now and see how much it changed. Apparently, we are working with the fastest internet connection in the world today, so let's see if it'll please go through while we record this. I know. Oh, we'll do it one more time, and it'll work this time, won't it? Please work. And that's great. Nothing like the internet messing up while you're trying to record. So let's give it just a second here. And while we're giving it a second, remember this number could increase, this number could change. Remember, this is the big number that's really impacting us on the amount of life insurance needs, because this is going to be paid out for multiple years down the road. Okay, so that's definitely impacting what we need. So let's see if we can get this to work now. There we go. Look, little patience pays off. So you can see this dramatically reduced how much life insurance we need. This is $2 million now instead of that. So if we're an aggressive investor and we think we're going to get more than 5% on our rate of return, what if we assume that the money that paid out on the life insurance at the death was invested in something a little bit more aggressive? Now the risk you have here with doing that is what if you don't get that rate of return? So let's say it's invested at 8%. Let's see what happens then. See, it drops down to already to $1.3 million. All right, so for this individual, we need to get a $1.3 million policy. And you might ask, well, how much does a $1.3 million policy cost? This is a person, and I'm not endorsing this person, but I did want to show you guys this website. There's tons of them out there. SelectQuote's one of a really good website to use when you're looking at insurance. But this guy, John Ryan, worked with certified financial planners. I actually worked with him when we were getting term quotes for our clients. So what I want to do here, and this is an instant term life quote here. So we are going to assume we're in Texas. Well, let's say we were born in, well, we said we were, how old do I say we were? I think we said we were 30. Oh, goodness. Okay. My math might be a little shoddy here, but let's just guesstimate this. We'll say about 1980. That might be off a little bit. Now, health class. So let me break this down for you. There has to be absolutely nothing wrong with you at all to get Preferred Plus. I mean, you have to not weigh too much more. You have to be a certain height. You obviously can't smoke. You can't have any hypertension. Even if it's controlled blood pressure, they don't like it. Okay? Most people are going to fall underneath the preferred category. So we'll do preferred here. And let's say we are going to look for a 20-year level term. Okay? Because how old were our kids? Well, I think back there we said they were like 2 and 4 years old. So 20 years, that will ensure that they get through college and are off the payroll, right? So let's take a look. And how much life insurance did we need? 1.3 million. So let's look at a $1.5 million policy, or we can do $1.25 million policy, and that'll be pretty close. Well, we'll go up to 1.5. So 1,500,000. How much do you think it's going to cost? Okay, and it is on. We're assuming that this is a male. We could also do it on a female. Let's see what it's going to cost here. You think it would be a whole lot? $73 a month. Okay, $73 a month could get you that amount of insurance. So it's really not a lot of money when we're looking at it. Now, I want to show you one thing. Now let's take a look at so remember, write this number down. $73 a month, or $840 a year for a non-smoker. Okay? Let's say that you're a regular plus and that you smoke. What do you think it's going to be now? Twice as much? More than that. $3,385. Folks, if this isn't a good wake-up sign to tell you that smoking isn't a good thing for you long-term, I'm not telling you to smoke or not to smoke, but I'm just saying, hey, it's if the life insurance companies know that it's and we were running it at age 32. I just noticed that. It was close enough though. But if the life insurance companies are charging you this much, you might want to think about it. So that's a huge difference between smoking and non-smoking. Now let's say we put it back down to no. What other things might make this thing more expensive other than changing the face amount? Well, the insurance company has a lot more risk when we go out to 30 years, right? Because now we're not talking about you living through your 50s, but what? We're talking about you living through your 60s now. And the probability of mortality actually increases on the graph. So we can compare that again, and it doesn't go up a great deal, but it does go up quite a bit. Now let's look about the average person lives to their 80s. So let's look at someone who is born in 1960, and let's see what kind of cost it would be for them to have that type of policy. $905 a month, okay, for 1.5 million, and that's for someone who's currently age 52. So this is for 30 years, so this puts them 62, 72, this puts them through the 80s. So the insurance company has a great risk of actually having to pay out a claim. Now, we show that the premium's 10,000 here. What if we lowered that down to a 20-year? Okay, it's gonna decrease. See, it's now 4,000. You see the big difference between that because we got close to that age of 80. See, if we go down to 10 years from now, it's not going to make that big of a difference. Let's say if we go down to 10 years, say 2,000, okay? But if we did the 20-year, $4,900, and remember this 30-year was a $10,000 annual for policy. So remember, this is term insurance. The pro about term insurance, you're getting the most bang for your buck. All right. The negative thing about term insurance is that it is for a term, and you can convert your term insurance into permanent insurance later, but it's just going to cost you a little bit of money. So what you want to do is, if you are taking the term insurance approach, over the next 20 to 30 years, as you insure yourself, you need to make sure that you're saving enough in retirement, you're putting enough away in, and you're paying your mortgage off, so that you will have, so that you will be financially okay when your insurance runs out. And so this is a really cool website, and like I said, you can go to SelectQuote as well. They have great tools, but in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it's not advice, I think term insurance is the best way to go if you're following the financial planning process. Now, however, when we talk about estate planning, we'll talk about the uses of insurance within a trust. And when we're doing insurance within a trust, we tend to want whole life or universal life inside a trust. So remember, this is lifehappens.org. You can use these calculators. There's also a disability insurance needs calculator where you can calculate how much, most of you already have a group disability policy, and this could calculate and see how much in addition you might need to get maybe an outside policy. So I really hope this helps you guys out a lot, and if you have any questions, please ask away.